Your dopamine addiction is ruining your life. Dopamine is not the happiness hormone, as the internet leads you to believe. Dopamine is the motivation and intention hormone which we get in our body. This is what creates our motivation and drive to do stuff in life. In this video, I'm going to quickly explain what dopamine is, why it's important, how you should use this information in your life, and then I'm going to give you some actionable steps to use in your life to improve your dopamine levels, get better motivation, get more results, and feel overall more fulfilled in your life with better results. Simple, who wouldn't want that? Right, quickly, what is dopamine? As I said, dopamine is the motivation hormone. So this is what gives you the drive to do things. So dopamine is what makes you want to pursue stuff. And you can see why this is important, because it just leads into everything else in your life. Where you want to go empty the dishwasher, well, you need to have dopamine for that. And obviously, because you don't want to do it, you have very low dopamine for it. But once you do it, you feel a bit better. That's because your dopamine baseline has just got a little bit higher. Doing difficult things puts your baseline up higher. Cold plunges, being in tight spaces, and being uncomfortable. Going to the gym. There's dopamine which gets you into the gym, the want for progress, results, and things like that. But after you've been to the gym, you should get a reaction which motivates you. More on how dopamine works is there's a part of your brain which releases this dopamine. They're very small and they spew out this dopamine, and it's like they throw it up. And every time they do that, they get a little bit less each time. Sometimes if you do something like little stimulation, they just do a little bit. But when they do massive spurts, when they do these big massive spurts, they lose a lot of their power. And then eventually, by the end of the day, they've pretty much lost all of it, and they're basically not even putting out much, or your body's already used to how much they're giving you, and then you need a lot more to get like a positive feeling. This is really important. This is why I'm telling you to protect your dopamine, because as we now know, dopamine is the motivation hormone. And if you haven't got any motivation to do anything, you can't do anything productive. Well, that's not good, is it? Because at the end of the day, productivity is what makes you fulfilled at the end of the day. Enjoying what you've done and how you've done it, and feeling proud of yourself is ultimately what you want to do. And run away from boredom. But here we go. So now you know how important protecting your dopamine is. You can see why this is so important, because every activity in your life, you're gonna need some sort of dopamine. Walking to the shops to go get a sandwich, walking down into the gym, walking to the gym, driving to the gym, it's all gonna take motivation, discipline. To hit your goals, you're gonna need to protect your dopamine. Or you're not gonna have motivation to do what needs to get where you need to be. I'm sure you've already heard of instant gratification and delayed gratification. They're very interesting topics, as instant gratification is something which takes very minimal effort but gives you a decent size release. Things like scrolling on TikTok, things like gambling, things that are designed to be addictive to keep you coming back, and they don't take much effort. Things like pornography gives a lot of dopamine for very little effort. Things that we consider instant gratification are designed and targeted to the human brain to be addictive and very hard, almost to quit. It's something that you rely on, as I'm sure you do know, with TikTok and all these other social medias, and any other habit which you've gone into, vaping, masturbation, weed, scrolling, video games. All of these things release a lot of dopamine, and for very little effort or contribution. Delayed gratification, on the other hand, as it sounds, not instant and delayed. So things like the gym, maybe you don't feel the dopamine, maybe you don't feel good about yourself instantly, but over the long term, you're gonna feel better. A very clear difference is with like a tub of ice cream. You eat the tub of ice cream, so it takes 20 minutes. But as soon as you take that last bite and swallow it, you want another one. because you've been in that feedback loop of scoop the ice cream, taste nice, feel better. Scoop the ice cream, taste nice, feel better. Yeah, so on and so forth. But as soon as you stop eating the ice cream, you go back to feeling awful again. Well, you go back to your baseline, which is going to be lower than when you started eating the ice cream, because at one point in time you were eating the ice cream and you were enjoying it, it tasted nice, it was good, and then you kept going. But now you're at a lower baseline because you've just had all the ice cream and now you want a little bit more. At least your brain or your dopamine is going, just a little bit more ice cream. Whereas things like delayed gratification, such as going to the gym, this will last a lot longer. Once you go to the gym, you may not feel great about it now, but you get home and you go, "Ooh, that was a good pump, feeling tight, feeling strong." You look at the mirror and you go, "I'm looking pretty good. I've got a decent pump going on. Quite proud of myself." And then the next day, "Oh damn, I'm sore. I pushed myself hard yesterday. I feel good about it." Maybe even the day after, you're still going, "Damn, I'm doing press ups, so I can still feel my tricep soreness from hitting bench back 2 days ago." That is real delayed gratification, good dopamine. And each time you go to the gym, you build on it and it gets better and better as you make more progress and more results. But this is obviously very difficult because going to the gym is not an easy feat. Having better dopamine levels and a better baseline, for example, people going to the gym in the morning where they find it easier because their dopamine has not been violated yet. This is why your discipline goes down throughout the day. And why is that? Because your motivation's going down as well. Discipline is obviously the art of showing up when you don't want to or when you don't feel like it, the absence of motivation. But realistically, in your head, there's a lot of things going on, and dopamine is going to be a big contributor to that. So the motivation hormone falling throughout the day, that's important. But with people going to the gym in the morning, that's because that's when their dopamine and their motivation is, they haven't had these crazy big highs and lows yet. But once somebody goes through these highs and lows, it's going to be a lot harder for them to motivate to do something they don't really want to do. But why is this important to you? For example, I said about a case study, my own study, which I recommended someone would do if they didn't believe that protecting your dopamine is not important. I said, one day I want you to wake up and we need to go straight outside. This is your actionable steps. Wake up, go straight outside. Go outside, get some sunlight, and think of 2 to 3 things which would make that day a win. Make that day an accomplishment, yeah? And you want to do these things as soon as possible while you have the motivation. As soon as you feel that dopamine rising of, I need to do this, and that would make it a good day, okay? Okay, we can do that. Then you go and execute, you go do them things and you feel good about yourself after. You see, you weren't enjoying yourself in the moment, but you're trying your best to. And you got the things done and now you're proud of yourself, you're done. End that day there. Before bed, try be as calm. Sorry, I said that wrong, but we'll try leave it in. Right, so you do that. You're proud of your day, you had a good day. Well done. At the very end of the day, go on, reward yourself. And this is going to be a part of the study. Reward yourself. Watch a load of TV, smoke Lazar if you want to, drink some alcohol, see your friends, have a laugh, stay up late watching TV, order some Dominoes, and enjoy that shit. Well done. You done something great that day, eh? Well, you're rewarding yourself now, driving your dopamine levels through the roof. Now go to sleep and wake up the next day. And when you wake up, I want you to continue that. You don't have to smoke this, or you don't have to drink, but I want you to, watch some porn. Have a bit of fun and just make your dopamine levels spike. Watch TikTok, watch some YouTube. Tell me how you feel. The absence of motivation will make you feel like shit. You don't even have the motivation to think about what would make you feel good. You don't even have the motivation to think to yourself. You're just scrambled. Your dopamine levels are fucked. Now get out of bed and go make some breakfast. You're gonna be like, no, I don't wanna do that, I don't wanna do that. Your motivation's all gone. You've ruined your day already. There's no motivation left. Now everything you do has got friction. It is difficult, it's hard. Do you see how important dopamine is? If you don't relate to that, the days, for example, back when I used to be in school, I knew if I got home from school and I started watching YouTube, I wouldn't get my homework or any revision done. So I knew that I'd have to get the hard thing done first. Why is this? This is because your dopamine, you'll get used to that level. So the thing that really helped me though, quit the dopamine, is stopping. Because the one thing you have to do is just stop. And it sounds like, oh yeah, you just stop watching TikTok every day. No, I don't mean that. I just mean, if you don't pick up your phone, you can't watch TikTok. If you don't sit in front of the TV, you can't watch TV. You just got to stop. You got to put distance between you and it. If you have to sit in silence and look at the floor and twiddle your thumbs, do it. Do it. Let them dopamine levels build back up. How can you make your dopamine levels better then? Sleeping a full 8 hours is very good for your dopamine to come back. And that will bring you hopefully back to a baseline. But you've got to understand that it takes time to recover from this. That's why people do a 2-week dopamine detox to have a full reset. If they honestly do no dopamine tasks in that time, everything obviously has dopamine, but minimizing that, doing a detox, that'd be very powerful to get you back to your baseline. But also, you've still got this addictive personality where when you start feeling that dopamine again, you're just gonna get right back into it. But because you had the more motivation, because you've been dopamine detoxing, you managed to stick to it, you managed to be a better person because of it, so on and so forth. What you should do is build your baseline back up, do hard things, take cold showers, go for a long run, push yourself to the limits and feel proud of yourself by the end of the day. Be productive, have a good day, and that'll bring your dopamine back to the baseline and you start living life purely. I believe people should just do their hobbies all day, and if it's not their hobby, they shouldn't do it. TikTok is not a hobby. I don't consider gaming a hobby. Minimum. By the way, I'm on Accutane. If you want to clear up some acne, you got to hop on this, but my lips get so dry. Very difficult. Sorry, moving on. That is, if you see me licking my lips and stuff, it's because my lips are just fucking, they're gone. They're gone. Look after your dopamine levels. If there's anything you can take away from this video, it's just understand that. Put the prioritize things first. Later in the day, you're going to lose a bit of your discipline. And at that point in time, if you can work with this schedule, I promise you'll get 3 times the amount of things done. I hope you learned something watching this video, and I hope you can implement some actionable steps into your life and feel the power of protecting your dopamine. It'd really mean the world if you can actually put this into actionable steps. And I know I've helped somebody. So do your best. Give it a go. Tell me how it goes. And I wish you all the best. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned to watch my content improve over time, and hopefully I can pass on some decent knowledge that I've learned through hundreds of books and hundreds of videos, and lots of learning, and lots of experimentation, so on and so forth. Anyway, peace out. See you in the next one.